Hello, good afternoon. The Prime Minister has suggested that some pro-Palestinian protests should be banned after they were accused of incubating anti-Semitism. In a BBC interview, Sir Keir Starmer also called for tougher policing of the language used during marches. Campaigners deny they're stoking hatred. Calls to stop the demonstrations were renewed after this week's stabbing of two Jewish men in North London. Harry Farley reports.
The Prime Minister booed and heckled when he visited the area where two Jewish men were stabbed in North London this week. Fury overflowing as yet another attack on Britain's Jewish community. Many within that community blame the regular pro-Palestinian marches and some of the chants heard there for fueling a rise in anti-Semitism, something the organisers strongly deny.
Good to see you. Do you want to take that seat there?
In a BBC interview, the Prime Minister was asked if he wanted tougher policing of the language used during marches or if he wanted to stop some protests altogether.
I think certainly the first, and I think there are instances for the latter. I don't want to get involved in operational policing, but I think when you hear some of those chants, globalise the Intifada would be the one that I would pick out, then clearly there should be tougher action in relation to that.
The laws around demonstrations must balance public safety with freedom of assembly. The Greens said restricting protests would be the worst response to the attacks and produce more division. The Liberal Democrats said protests must not be hijacked by anti-Semitic abuse, but Reform UK said the Prime Minister's words were weak and too late. And the Conservatives' Kemi Badenoch said she would support banning the protests.
Anyone saying globalise the Intifada or chanting from the river to the sea knows exactly what they're doing. They are trying to let people know that there is support for harming Jews. We need to make sure that that is stopped completely.
For the Prime Minister, there's dangers at home and abroad, with the Iran war threatening to send inflation soaring. His pitch to voters and those in his party questioning his future is this is no time for more instability.
There are moments in history that will define a generation, and I think we're in one of those moments. The Iran war is not our war. We're not getting dragged into it. Whatever pressure is put on me, I'm not going to drag the United Kingdom into a war. It's not in our national interest, but it is impacting us. It's impacting our economy. It's impacting what happens on our streets.
His solution, a closer relationship with Europe. The question is if his party think his time is now up. Harry Farley, BBC News.
Alex Zanardi, the former Formula One driver and Paralympic champion, has died at the age of 59. The Italian had both his legs amputated after a motor racing accident in 2001. Following his injury, he took up paracycling and won 2 golds in the Paralympics in London 2012 before doing the same in Rio de Janeiro 4 years later. Joe Linsky reports.
Alex Zanardi went through the greatest setback and yet took it in his stride. At 2 straight Paralympics, he became a cycling champion. It wasn't the sport he'd set out to conquer.
And out of the race goes Alessandro Zanardi.
In 1991, he broke through in F1, eventually moving to the US to compete in IndyCar racing. In the late 90s, he won back-to-back titles, but in 2001, everything changed.
When I was told from my wife what had happened, the feeling which would emerge way above all the others was just joy. I mean, to have lost my legs at that moment was really the last of my problems because I was so happy to be alive.
The crash led to the amputation of both of his legs, but he just looked for the next challenge. At London 2012, he took to the road race on the same Brands Hatch track he'd driven on before. He won 2 gold medals and did the same 4 years later. Today, the IPC said Alex was a pioneer, icon and legend of the Paralympic movement. His performances were truly out of this world, engaged new fans and showed the world anything was possible. Zanardi found room for even more talents, racing the Ironman in a world record time for a disabled athlete. He even returned to the racetrack in a specially adapted car. In 2020, Alex Zanardi was struck by a vehicle during a paracycling relay. He was seriously injured and not seen again in public. In Italy, his nation rallied behind him. It was the mark of a man who kept on inspiring.
The fact that you are certificated as disabled because you've lost something does not stop you to do things in an alternative way and to display your talent if you think you have some.
Alex Zanardi, who has died at the age of 59. Police in Birmingham have arrested a 19-year-old man after thousands of fans were evacuated during a performance by the comedian Peter Kay at the Utilita Arena because of a suspected security incident. Sean Dilley reports.
45 minutes into the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, due to unforeseen circumstances, we are going to have to stop the show. So we can put the house lights up.
Moments before Peter Kay was ushered off stage in what some thought was simply part of the act.
What? Okay, thank you.
Is this a joke?
Quickly, though, it became clear that he and the audience were being evacuated for their safety.
Seeing how swiftly and how well it was dealt with, you know, that kind of gives you a good idea that the team knew what they were doing, the staff on site knew what they were doing, and that makes you feel actually even safer. It could have been an awful lot worse, just from a heightened panic situation.
West Midlands police were called to reports of a suspicious bag inside the Utilita Arena last night. Today, the force say nothing suspicious was found, but a 19-year-old man remains in custody on suspicion of a bomb hoax. Thousands of fans are now wondering whether they'll receive refunds. The Utilita Arena said the security of customers and colleagues was their highest priority. Ticket holders would be contacted in due course.
What's this? Garlic bread, you're joking!
Peter Kay is Britain's top-earning comic. He previously sold out 45 shows at London's O2.
You slipped on him, didn't you?
Tonight, he's due to return for a second night in Birmingham. Sean Dilley, BBC News.
The German Defence Minister Boris Pistorius has said that it was foreseeable that the US will withdraw more of its troops from Europe. The Pentagon announced last night that it will put 5,000 troops out of Germany after Chancellor Merz said Iran's leaders were humiliating Washington over peace talks. Well, our World News correspondent Joe Inwood is here with us now. And Joe, so what is the background to all of this?
The background here is the ever-deteriorating relations between the US and its European allies. Of course, those comments from Germany's Chancellor Merz have gone down very badly in Washington. He said that the US has no strategy. What we've seen now is their response. You mentioned before that Boris Pistorius, the German defence minister, said it was foreseeable that around 5,000 troops, or certainly some, would be pulled out. I think this is going to be taken a couple of ways by European capitals. Firstly, it is a sign that they need to continue their efforts to step up and take care of their own defence, something they say they're doing. But also it shows a potential or continued deterioration of the NATO alliance and how America views it. So it's going to be viewed negatively in Europe. There is one capital where they will be rather pleased about this potentially, and that is Moscow.
Joe, as always, thanks so much. Joe Inwood reporting. Thank you. Now, changes to council tax rates on second homes in Wales aimed at improving access to properties for local people are causing financial damage. That's according to some people who've got in touch with BBC Your Voice. It's an issue that has come up in many tourist areas in the Welsh Senedd elections. Well, Hal Griffith has been to Gwynedd to speak to one woman whose 3-floor home is now being classed as 3 separate houses.
It's my home. I don't want Big Brother telling me what to do with my own home.
Sally shows me round what counts as one of her 2 second homes, both of which sit within her house in Criceth. She bought the building to create a B&B beside the sea in 2008. A decade ago, she changed 2 floors into self-catering apartments. Now, changes to the rules on second homes and holiday lets mean her council tax bills have shot up. She got in touch to tell us what the policies mean for her.
It was my dream. That's what I'd always wanted to do. And I'd eventually managed to do it. And now it's being taken away from me. You know, it's all just fallen flat on its face. Yeah, turned into a bit of a nightmare, I suppose. Never mind a dream.
Here in Gwynedd, second homeowners have to pay an extra 150% in council tax unless their property is let out as a holiday home for more than half of the days of the year. Some feel they're being punished, while other people hope it's a way of making homes more affordable for local people.
Battles over housing here are not new. In one council ward, fewer than 50% of houses are used as main homes. Mared has campaigned for tighter measures and is also a member of Plaid Cymru.
It's not anti-tourism, it's not anti-anything. It's about striking a balance between healthy communities and healthy tourism. Too many suck the life out of these communities, and you have to let these places breathe, and you have to protect the people who live there as well.
So where do the party stand on second homes? Labour says it's taken bold action in government to help local people. The Lib Dems say owners must pay their fair share, but flexibility is needed, while the Welsh Greens want second homes taxed on a land value system. Plaid Cymru says it would review the current system to see what further action is needed, while the Welsh Conservatives and Reform would both scrap the rule that means holiday lets must be used for 182 days of the year. Housing and how best to accommodate everyone in these communities will be one of the challenges facing whoever takes power in Wales after May the 7th. Hywel Griffith, BBC News, Criceth.
Well, that's all from me. I'll be on the BBC News channel from 2 o'clock. The next news here on BBC One is at 5:20. Bye-bye.